Hey y'all. So we are back for another review of Love and Marriage Huntsville season 6, episode 27. Lord have mercy. Peace before the storm E. Okay. First, I just want to once again I want to thank everybody for your support, for liking the videos, for subscribing to the channel. And if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. But I really appreciate it. All right. So let's just start here. Why are Tiffany and Lou still in the credits? We're done. Let them go. Erase them. Okay, technology is too advanced now. Y'all could have taken them out. I don't care. We don't want them. Goodbye. Next. Was it me or on this episode? And I'm really not saying this to be mean, but it's something I'm noticing. Because as someone who is plus size, I'm saying this. One has to dress for one's body shape and size. And things are a lot better than they once were in fashion, to where there are things that women who are plus size can wear fashionable things that are their size. Tisha and Stormy, y'all were looking real. Stormy, you always look stuffed, even in your skin, but you look real stuffed in these outfits, and you were giving real hood rat energy this episode. It just seemed like you were really your subject and verbs would disagree regularly, and it just I wasn't here for it. All right, so anyway, we get Kimmy and Maurice. Okay, I had to address those things first. Housekeeping issues. So one of Marceau and Maurice's many thousand brothers, all right, is working on constructing this building, office, whatever. All right, Kimmy is giving Micah the business, okay, for not pushing through with the project. I blame all y'all, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I have a feeling that this is not Micah's first project that fell short, and considering the way Marceau and Maurice drag their feet on anything else, it seems to be a family issue. Next, Kimmy is complaining that she wanted a husband that was handy, and he was like, "No, I'm not that handy. I can do it. I just don't want to do it." But you knew that before we got married. Then he starts asking her, "Look, I have lawsuits. You know how much it takes to go into one lawsuit?" She was like, "You elected that. Like you elected to have a family. Like you elected to go. Don't use that as an excuse. Like you elected to have many properties." And I was just like, "Bruh, you are basically essentially saying, do you know what goes into my job?" Yes, and and like that was some bullshit. So he was like, "You know how many lawsuits we have?" I was like, "Oh, you must be handling your brothers." Anyway, so Maurice and Kimmy, it's been a while since we saw y'all on one of these episodes, and honestly, I wouldn't be mad if they kept it that way, because y'all, and Kimmy, I got a lot I gotta say to you. I've been trying, but So then Kimmy starts telling him about the vaginal scene. Okay, do y'all just share everything with these men? Gosh. And she talks about the herb that the woman said that will help her libido. Maurice starts laughing, saying it will sell anybody anything. I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking the same fucking thing. And I wasn't even mad at Maurice for saying that. Because at the end of the day, people will just sell you anything. I mean, every time you turn around, somebody is marketing something. Like their advice. I'm a life coach. By the way, a life coach is not a trained therapist or psychoanalyst. Cut it out. You don't need a life coach. Anybody can give you some fucking affirmations. Like, these people don't know what the fuck they doing. Anyway. All right. So, Kimmy, I'm over you trying to twist yourself into a motherfucking pretzel after going through chemotherapy for breast cancer and not having the same sex drive for your selfish ass husband. Okay? Then she starts telling about Tisha doing a pregnancy test. Once again, y'all have to tell these men every goddamn thing between women. Men will keep each other's secrets and not think twice about it, especially when they're hurtful to people. Y'all just I don't get that shit. All right, she tells him about the pregnancy test, and Maurice's like, "Yeah, well, there has to be more to the story." And she actually took a pregnancy test. Maurice, why would you put that out there? Was this going to end up on TV? Yeah. Do I think it was dumb of Tisha to take it in front of everybody? Yes, especially if their husband had a vasectomy on TV. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, so we get Stormy and Tisha. All right, what was that zebra print outfit Stormy had on in the confessional? It looks like something like, you know how people like will start getting rid of stuff out of the closet sometimes after years, and it looked like it may have been like popular like late 70s, and it belonged to her mother, and she decided to wear it anyway. Don't ever do it again, Stormy. Don't, but I know you will. Anyway, so she is now trying to connect Tisha and Kiki because she doesn't like to see families fight. Bitch, okay, I know a way you cannot see family fight by minding your motherfucking business. Because both Kiki and Tisha have both told you they are over it. Okay? And go and work with your fucking family. Okay? But this whole claiming to be a peacemaker, when you bout it, and you ratchet, and you ready to get into it anytime, it's not working. What you're doing for camera time will never, ever, ever make me ever want to purchase anything you're selling. Ever. Okay? Miss me. You should have told us about how your company was failing and how it pulled back up. Now, that would have been a story. But you was too busy going around being embarrassed. And I understand how you could feel insecure about that, but you on TV. Anyway, so Tisha is still accusing Kiki of taking drugs. And she was like, I've never seen her take a pill. That's why she was acting like that at the barbecue. But it's her behavior. And I'm like, that's some damning stuff to put out there about somebody. Even if she wasn't related to you, there's no reason to carry on like that. It really isn't. It isn't. All right? Like, whatever. So, Tisha went to Vegas, and she talks about how Marceau went with his boys for a bachelor party in Colombia. And Stormy was like, that's like the brothel place, this, that, and the other. I do think she might be thinking about a Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. But I mean, because every place you go is going to have prostitutes. But I do think going out of the country for a bachelor party, and I've heard of a couple of people doing that, and I'm just kind of like, I think it's strange. And I also think it's strange that those same people will have a wedding registry where you can pay or add money to their honeymoon fund, but you could have a bachelor or bachelorette, a bachelor party abroad. You're not ready to get married. Your priorities are out of whack. But that's just me, and that's just a little, you know. Anyway, so Tisha got in her feelings saying that, well, look, in a confessional, because you know she'll never stand up to nobody. We are adults, so we know how to conduct ourselves. And maybe if she left the warehouse, she could have a life too. I said, girl, bye. Tisha, don't try to boss up like that. And the fact that you try to boss up in a confessional and not to her face, miss me. All right, so Stormy brings up having a double date with them. You messy bitch. Why would you want to have a double date with them? How could that possibly go well or almost well? How? Why would you want to be around him? You already think Marcel's a bitch. This is so... Oh, you stretching. You reaching. And your arms are too short. All right, so this story brings up the website where Tisha copied Canvas Beauty business policies, something about return policy, you know, whatever it was. So Stormy asked her if she was going to apologize, you know, I guess, to her, because it was on the internet and that kind of thing or whatever. And Tisha was like, well, I don't owe you an apology. It wasn't my mistake. It was the web designer or whatever. Girl. She eventually apologized to her, but you should have apologized anyway. Okay? For the mistake regardless. There was clearly something copied and pasted from her website. And Stormy was like, that makes you look bad. She was like, no, it don't make me look bad. We got a lot of sales. Yes, sometimes you get bad advertisement and people will buy, but that can't happen regularly. And the bottom line is, it was copied and pasted from Stormy's brand. You did owe her an apology, period, because it's still your business. And you have to do that. It was a shortcoming, and you need to recognize it, and I'm over it, Tisha. So Chris and Nell, okay, they meet outside the daycare, because you know Chris, you know, he be straight moving around Huntsville. He be moving. All right, so Chris tells her that little Chris stopped by their office or whatever, and Nell starts laughing and says, did you ask him why he isn't coming around, why he hasn't called me, or why he hasn't paid me my money back? I said, damn, Nell, damn. I mean, but it was clear she didn't really know what was happening. Okay, so it was very clear just in that short conversation that Nell and Chris Sr. had very different parenting styles, okay? Just very different parenting styles. That's all I have to say about it. She was like, no, he needs to get off his grown ass. Okay? He doesn't take responsibility for that. And what do you mean he feels alone? Both me and you help him with everything. Okay? All right? And honestly, I'm going to be honest. I understood where Nell was coming from. Okay, dealing with an adult child. I did understand where she was coming from. Then Chris says, well, I think it's because maybe I have a different view on it because I had the conversation with him and not you. I said, oh, okay then. And he starts to explain that he thinks he's falling into depression. He was like, and I mean, I really teared up. I teared up in front of him, which I didn't want to do or whatever. And I was like, it's hard for parents to cry in front of their kids, but it was probably good because maybe that emotion let his son know, because depression can have you play tricks on you. Your mind will play tricks on you, having you thinking nobody gives a fuck about you. And I'm talking as somebody who goes to therapy every week. Because some people be sitting up here telling you, oh, y'all need to go to therapy, y'all need to do this, y'all need to do that, and ain't never been to therapy a day in their life. Like, you can't really give nobody no advice because you don't know. Anyway, and he was talking about, well, he keeps saying how he goes out a lot by himself, and he's out at 2 or 3 in the morning. And Noah was like, what the hell is open at 2 or 3 in the morning? And Chris was like, nothing, but he's just doing stuff by himself. And she was like, that's how you get in trouble. That's how police and stuff get involved. And that certainly is. Like, Nell was not really wrong. She wasn't wrong about any of the stuff she was saying. Especially in those small towns. Like, you can't just be out and about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And in most cities, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, ain't nothing good going on. Ain't nothing safe really going on. Okay, so anyway, but she did agree that it sounded like depression, and she supports him getting counseling. And Chris said, well, if they want one of us to come, and she was like, okay, if they want to do counseling, I'm not about to sit there in front of a therapist and just argue with Chris. And I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really mad at either one of them, because Nell wasn't saying anything that wasn't true, but I also think Chris having compassion in that way may help strike the balance for their son. So, that's what parents have to do. All right, so Mel, Tisha, and Kimmy meet up at the nail spa. Kimmy decides it's a good idea to come into the nail salon or spa, whatever, to talk about their individual problems. I wonder how many people who do those pedicures and manicures sit there and listen like, oh my gosh, y'all what the fuck? Grow up. Anyway, so Kimmy asked Tisha if she told Marcel about the pregnancy test. And she says no. And she was like, I don't care. I don't see what I need to tell him. Probably because it was on TV. Nevertheless, why does Kimmy give a fuck about whether or not she told her husband this? You done talk to Maurice about it. You telling her she should tell her husband. That is her husband. Period. Don't worry about, how it's going to get worse. What the fuck you mean it's going to get worse? It ain't got shit to do with you, Kimmy. Anyway, so Mel comes in. And Mel was like, well, Kimmy wants us to meet up. And she said, honestly, I don't need a pedicure because I always keep my feet done. But, okay, I'll meet up. And that shit had me laughing like, bitch, I don't need this. Y'all. Anyway, so Kimmy brings up that she saw Mel's name-changing ceremony on social media. And I feel like Kimmy kind of wanted some smoke over this bullshit. All right, so she said, well, I expected to be invited. And Mel didn't invite them. And Mel goes, I didn't want it to be a thing. And then she starts explaining. And well, Kimmy was like, well, by putting it on social media, it kind of becomes a thing. No. You bringing it up and making a deal out of it becomes a thing. And Mel explained it. She was like, look, if I invited you and Maurice, then I'd have to invite Tisha and Marcel. And that would bring my ex into it. I don't want, y'all are still friends with him. She was like, I don't want that. It was really mostly family and a few close friends. No, Kimmy, she doesn't want you there. All right? And that little soliloquy that you went on, trying to lecture her about African Americans and stereotypes and this and the other, was some bullshit. And I'm getting to it. Then Tisha brings up, well, I think for Kimmy, she's hurt. I didn't expect to be invited. She was like, but Mel threw a breast cancer party for her. And usually you don't do that for anybody you're not close to. And I was thinking to myself, So Mel looked out for Kimmy, right? So Mel's proven she's a friend, right? She doesn't owe Kimmy anything. Because if we being for real, Tisha, your ass As her sister-in-law or whatever the fuck you are related to her, you should have thrown it. You should have been embarrassed that somebody outside the family was doing it. Anyway, excuse me. So Kimmy asked, well, at least was the ceremony helpful for you to move on? And she was like, no, I've already moved on. It's just the new beginning. So Kimmy, like I said, starts running her mouth about all this dumb bullshit. Talks about how African American stereotypes and says that, they get caught in this cycle where, I just never wanted to be the person who went to school and didn't have the same name as my child. Let me tell y'all something. And I'm telling you this is somebody from Georgia who went out to LA for graduate school, and now I'm in New York. Okay? Them white women do that shit all the time. And you know why? They don't, a lot of them do not change their last names at all. I know, I've said through parent teacher conference, and they're married. Those sometimes the degrees they got their name under, sometimes they want to be associated with their family's money, so on and so forth. They do not change their names. So that doesn't happen simply because you're black. Okay? That happens because people make presumptions about black families anyway. Okay, so miss me with the bullshit when you up here talking about that's tragic. Bitch, get the fuck out of here. Kimmy, you and Tisha were trying this episode. So Kimmy keeps on that bullshit about African American stereotypes. Says when she got married, she made her maiden name into her middle name. Mel goes, okay. And she was like, she kept saying African Americans, what she really meant was black women. Okay, changing their names and calling it tragic. I said, bitch, talk about an overstatement. All right, so Mel goes, well, you changed your last name when you got married. So technically, you and Jalen don't have the same last name. I said, Kimmy, you on some bullshit in them weak ass arguments. Of that hating that shit you was trying to pull on Mel for having that naming ceremony, and that weak ass pick me shit that you was talking about names and shit. Got your ass handed to you, okay? And Mel didn't even have to raise her motherfucking voice. Mel got your ass together, and I'm glad. All right? And she was like, my kids understand what it was and what it no longer is. Essentially, the people who matter understand, so it doesn't matter to her. Hello and good morning. Anyway, Mel changes the subject because she's over this bullshit, and so was I, so thank you. And says, Tisha, I haven't seen you since you left the gym. And Tisha was like, no, you haven't. And Tisha said that Kimmy had essentially repeated that Mel said that her energy felt off and her attitude did too when she brought up criticisms about the Black Expo. And Mel was like, I felt like you shut me down a lot of it. Because everybody else was giving their opinions. They were criticizing. And you were quiet for a lot of it until I said something. Then that's when you got loud and, like, combative. And she did. And Tisha was talking about how she was mad and bothered about a lot. And I was just like, no, Tisha, you full of shit. And Kimmy, you got your ass handed to you. And y'all looking like some pick-me weak-ass bitches. That's all I got to say on that. Now, Stormy and Courtney waiting for their double date with the Scotts, which is a dumb-ass fucking idea any fucking way. But they're playing pool. And Stormy is catching him up on how Tisha didn't take responsibility for the website stuff, which Courtney readily points out. Does she not realize that makes her look bad too? She was like, she stayed with blaming it on the web designer. Okay. So Tisha and Marceau showed up an hour and a half late. Y'all better than me. I would have left. And there's nothing fun about waiting for people for a double date. There was no reason to be that late. Not a call, not a text. Say what? So Marceau comes in and says, well, there's a lot of tension in here. And, last time I saw you, you had a problem with me, this and the other. Courtney was like, I don't have a problem with you. And then proceeds to explain how he was offended when he called them the steal. Okay, Courtney, you have a problem with Marceau. I don't know what this stuff is. That I don't know if we've been trained to do it. And people always say, well, look, I'm really not upset with you. And then proceed to explain all the reasons why they're upset. Like somehow by saying that, what is this supposed to do? Yeah, I do have a problem with you. And I have a problem with what you did. Like, just say that. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, now the one thing, and I do not like Stormy. But the one thing I can rock with Stormy on is standing on the fact that she called Marceau a bitch. Now, do I think he acts like one or exhibits bitch behavior? Yes. By fighting with women, yes. But the reason why I can rock with Stormy on this is because Stormy stands on what she says. Okay? She's standing on it. It is what it is. She's standing on it. And when she sat in that confessional and said, I stand on why I called him a bitch, he was doing bitch like shit. And she said to his face, I mean, like, I do think you were doing bitch shit. I was like, she said what she said. You just gonna have to deal. All right. So when Marceau kept going on, and Stormy was like, "Look, I have some work to do," and proceeded to walk out. I don't know why, but when I tell you, I got scared when she started to walk out. I really got scared because for some reason I thought she was gonna smash the shit out of Marceau with that pool stick. I really did. I was like, "Oh shit!" The way she's moving, I don't trust that. The fact that neither Marceau or Tisha apologized for being late, that shit is like uncouth. I'm not here for it. But that's all I have to say about Love and Marriage Huntsville. I will see y'all tomorrow for Potomac. And y'all have a good night. All right. Bye.